Hey sisters, so I just wanted to check in because I took down my last video and because of that I guess I haven't had any videos up for a while. So a couple of people responded to my last video about my experiences at the National Women's Martial Arts Federation training, and I wanted to thank you so much for those comments because they were really awesome and supportive and kind. I took down the video because someone from the organization had reached out to me to say that I had used too many identifying factors when I discussed an issue that I had had with not another attendee, but the family of another attendee. So looking back, I could see that they were absolutely correct. This person was highly identifiable to other people from my description of them. Not because I use names or ethnicity or anything like that, but because it was a smaller group, and given the factors that I did use to describe the situation, it was obvious, it would be obvious to people who had met her who she was. So I guess that was me thinking that it was a bigger organization than it was, but also that figuring that nobody would be watching my videos, and people did. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about accountability and what that looks like, because it's an issue that's come up a lot, and I think it's something that we as radical feminists need to talk about, that we as white people need to talk about. So I'm actually at my girlfriend's chosen sister's brother's cottage, and I have my girlfriend's dog on a leash, so I'm just gonna keep an eye on her because she's out here with us. Mitz, come say hi. She's gonna come say hi. Hi, Mitz. Isn't she beautiful? She moves very fast. So, anyway, so accountability is basically making sure that you identify issues and remedy them if you have responsibility in making them. And my immediate reaction to this email that I had received saying that someone wanted the video taken down, it was a little bit of a knee-jerk, like a little bit like part one, or one part, don't tell me what to do, and some part like it's not that bad, or it wasn't even an issue with the recognizable person, but with the family, and so excuses, right away. But what I actually did was immediately write to the person who sent me the email and said, I'll take the video down right away. I'll review it and see if I can salvage part of it, because I wanted to keep it for posterity, and apologize for not understanding the repercussions of my actions, potential repercussions. So for me, that was accountability, and I think that that's really, really important when we're doing political work, because we can feel so defensive, everything can feel so personal, and we're so used to the negativity that we think is connected with being wrong, or doing something wrong, or making a mistake, or acting on assumption, or just basically human error. But we're human and we err, and we learn. We have to learn, right? And so what did I learn from that situation? Basically to make sure that I don't use too many identifying factors when I'm describing a situation, because it can impact someone negatively. We don't want to. I want to be able to discuss things that happen without what's the word? Basically identifying people, right? Implicating them, that's the word I wanted. So when we talk about accountability to a group or a political movement, I think that that's really important too, because we say things like the personal is political, but we take everything so personally that we lose the idea that this is actually a political movement, and we have a responsibility to learn from our mistakes, not just get defensive and project or turn it back on the other person. Well, if you think I did this, well, you've been doing that, right? You can address that in the appropriate arena, but not as a response to you yourself being called out. So I like the phrasing that I learned at that training, which was something like, call people in, don't call them out. And it basically means like bring the person who made a mistake into your circle and explain to them what happened with the good faith that they want to learn and do better. Because I think a lot of the times we think people act on malice, when in fact a lot of the times it's not even just ignorance, it's just bad information. And people can learn and do better. So I totally believe that people can learn and do better. I believe that I can learn and do better. So I move forward with other people on the assumption that they don't know what they did. And they didn't know that there was a better way. And then I give people space for what happens next is important. So if they take accountability and if they say like, wow, that really is on me, I'm going to sit with that and learn about that and I will do better next time. To me, that's like best case scenario, right? And then actually seeing them do better next time, that's a huge win. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for how big of a win that is. And if they get defensive, you know, you can always have that conversation of like, I know that this is going to feel personal, but I want you to know that I'm telling you this because I believe in you and I think we can do better together. So here's my issue, and here's how I could see it being remedied, and this is how I would like us to move forward. Mitz. We're all tangled up. Okay, hold on. Okay. So calling someone in, addressing someone's white privilege is an issue that, as a white person, I do a lot because I think it's important that white people do it and we don't leave it to people of color, global majority people, because they obviously have enough shit to deal with. They don't need to also be taking on the job of educating white people on why being racist is shitty. So I see all the time this like minimization from the class analysis of racism as prejudice plus power down to I myself have never personally purposefully harmed a person of color. And when you take it down that small, I mean, first of all, that's your opinion, and why would you enter a conversation and actually like admit right off the bat that you have done that? Very few people will do that. A black person or a person of color may disagree with your take on whether or not you've ever been personally or purposefully racist to them. And if you're arguing that that's the only way of being racist, then I already can see that you don't have an understanding of what racism actually means, or what microaggressions are, or how systemic racism works, or how white people benefit from the oppression of people of color, whether we know it or not, whether we're informed about the issue or not. Mitz, sorry, no. Okay, maybe we can just lay down. Or maybe not. Mitz, lay down. She's trying, but she's on a short lead. Anyway, poor thing. I don't know how to work this stupid leash. Mitz, lay down. Hi, Mitz. Anyway, so if you're a white person and another white person or a person of color calls you out on being racist, like, just listen. Like, just listen with the heart of someone who wants to learn and do better, because I think for the most part we all want to try to do better or be better, I'm not talking about people who are like abusive. I'm talking about people who fuck up, and it happens. And I just want to advise white people to like take a step back from how that made you feel to the reality of what is happening. Someone is taking the time to educate you, to encourage you to do better, and that's someone who in that moment believes in you, in your ability to do better. So like that's a really positive thing. You don't need to focus on the, oh my god, I fucked up, I didn't mean it that way, you're racist for, you know, calling it out in the first place, for even thinking that I would think that way, all whatever reversals people come up with. Like, just sit with it for a bit. And you don't have to even respond. You can just say, I am going to sit with that for a bit, and do it. And do some research and try to figure things out for yourself, and just relax, slow things down. It's not the end of the world to make a mistake, and I had to learn that too. I learned that making mistakes is how we grow, and we become better people when we look at our mistakes from every angle and we can say, oh wow, this is how I messed up, because then you have an avenue for improvement. This is how I messed up. This is how I can make this better. And sometimes it's just stepping back altogether and, you know, devoting yourself to trying to look at it a different way, not just through your eyes as the person being held accountable, but from the perspective of the person who took the time to try to do so. And so what accountability for me has looked like is ownership. So if someone takes the time to say, this thing made me unhappy, it made me uncomfortable, it didn't work for me, it hurt my feelings, it was unkind, it was offensive, whatever it is that is being brought to attention, like take a moment with that and sit with that and think about how that would feel from, not just from the other person that it happened to, but how it feels for the person to have to tell you that, because that's never easy. It is so hard to call someone to account. It goes against our socialization as women. We want to, you know, kind of throw things under the bridge. That's how communities actually fall apart, by not taking members to account, especially popular members, or members with a lot of clout, or members who are sort of known for the reversal and the blowing things up, right? Like, so if you were to take someone to account, then all of a sudden every mistake you've ever made is being laid out on the table, and that happens a lot, and that's reversal, which is a patriarchal tactic, which we're quite familiar with. So if that ends up happening, then basically what is happening is someone who is not actually willing to be accountable. But with someone who is, there's a lot of space to actually make things better, and we have a responsibility in our communities to hold people accountable, especially people who have clout or have some sort of power, decision-making power, or the power of privilege, or whatever it is. Because that's how we make sure that we are keeping the most marginalized members of our communities safe. And that's how we can make sure that everyone is represented, because if you are not taking the power people, if you're not holding the power people responsible, you are going to lose the marginalized people who make your community strong and great. So it benefits everybody to be the person or people who make sure that accountability happens. So like I was saying, for myself, ownership, I sit there with it, I think, okay, is this accurate? Did I do this? Okay, yes, I did this. What can I do about it? What needs to be done? And that's often a question that you can ask the person who brought it to you. Okay, I see what you're saying. That did happen. What can I do to make this better? And so that's amends. How do I fix this? And often it's just, don't do it again. And so don't, right? If someone calls you in and says, here's what you did, and then says, what I need for you is to not do this again, don't do it again. And that can be as easy as it needs to be. But sometimes people need like actual amends, and that may look like you need to apologize, you need to financially reimburse, like you need to repair the situation in some way. Listen to the people who are talking to you and find out what they need, and then put that into practice. Mitz, come. I need you to lay down, please. Lay down. Lay down. She doesn't want to lay down, and I don't know how to do the angry voice. Mitz, lay down. Oh, she did it. Oh, she almost did it. She did it for a second. Okay. So, this is very distracting being outside with the dog. She's beautiful. So, take ownership. Try to make amends. If that looks like reparations, then do that, right? Do what it takes to make it right, if it's right. Now, if someone is trying to hold you accountable and you're not sure if you actually did anything wrong, just get the details, right? And even if at the end of it all, if they're really sincere and they really feel like that they were harmed by something that you said or did, like there's a certain amount of peacekeeping involved, right? So you may have to just say, you know what? I see it from your perspective and I apologize. If you feel the need to, if you feel like it would make anything better, or if you feel like you need to be heard in that moment, you can say, here's my perspective of what happened, and I hope you can understand it as well. And then you both get to feel heard. But the truth is, like, it's okay to mess up, and it's even okay to not know how to fix it, or not know if it can be fixed. The issue is either like brushing everything under the table and not addressing anything, or doing the tactic of just the complete reversal, where now we're not talking about the thing that I did, we're talking about everything that you've ever done, wrong or otherwise. So I hope that, I know that was a little bit of a jump, but I'm distracted by being outside, distracted by having a dog with me. I'm having a great weekend. I've been working really hard on a lot of different little projects. I'm thinking about putting together a Patreon because I need some money. I'm so broke, and there's just a lot of things that I want to do in the world that cost money. Fucking capitalism, am I right? So until we can destroy that, I'm trying to think of another way to bring some money in, so I may pursue that. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe just send me money directly. Oh wow, okay. So some commentary on accountability. And I can definitely delve more into this, especially the communication part, because I get asked all the time, like, how should I address this? What should I say? What would you say? And then I'm reading their text and I'm like, oh, okay, like, so I might say something like this. Or I feel my interpretation of what they're saying is this. So I find that we have really, really shitty communication skills, like in general, and we jump to bad faith. We jump to negative conclusions. We jump to, we need to be right. People are watching. I can't lose face. I can't make a mistake. What will people think? Like all of that shit about being inside other people's heads, which we don't actually, we don't need to deal with any of that. We just need to worry about our own integrity. And it's really important when it comes to accountability. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to have more sort of casual videos like this soon, because I really like just going off on tangents like this, and I'm gonna leave in all the parts with Mitz where I attempted to to be in charge for a minute. Look at how beautiful. She's so cute. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and not really Facebook anymore. And my website, womanwalkingaway.com. So have a great day.